Hi. Our topic is about explaining the different patterns of non-Mendelian inheritance. Let's begin. Mendelian model of inheritance follows simple genetic basis that one particular trait is controlled by one specific gene, therefore, controlled by only two alleles. However, the process of inheritance is more complex in nature, because most of the inherited traits are controlled by more than one genes and multiple alleles. Thus, non-Mendelian inheritance does not follow the pattern according to Mendelian model. Such patterns can be explained through sex-linked genes, incomplete dominance, and multiple alleles. Recall that a chromosome is a packed form of the deoxyribonucleic acid which contains the information for an organism's inherited traits. Male and female mammals and insects have the same number of chromosomes. Sex chromosomes are composed of special pair of chromosomes, the X and Y, that determine the sexes of the mammals and insects. X and Y chromosomes have different appearances and genetic compositions. Females have two X chromosomes and males have one X chromosome and one Y chromosome. Sex chromosomes do not just determine the organism's sex, but also contain genes that dictate other physical characteristics, like color vision and blood clotting. Sex-linked genes are genes that determine traits that are not related to sex, but are located on either one of the sex chromosomes. Note that, because males only have one X chromosome, all genes in that chromosome will be fully expressed. Females, on the other hand, have two X chromosomes, which make their genes either homozygous or heterozygous. The dominant gene for red eye color, R, is located in the X chromosome. Its alternative form, R, is for a white eye color phenotype. A male red-eyed fruit fly is crossed with a female red-eyed fruit fly. The female parent is also a carrier of the recessive gene, R. Both parents, in this example, is from the F1 generation. The Punnett square shows the result of a cross between the two fruit flies from an F1 generation. Notice that all females of the F2 generation have red eyes. On the other hand, only half of all the male offspring in the generation have red eyes, while the other half has white. All the daughters do not exhibit a red eye phenotype, but all of them are carriers of the recessive gene. Note that in the inheritance of the sex-linked genes, males always pass down their sex-linked genes in the X chromosome to all of their female offspring. Female parents, on the other hand, can pass down sex-linked genes to both male and female offspring. Male offspring will always express the sex-linked genes they receive from their mother. Here is another example of a sex-linked gene being inherited in humans. These Punnett squares show how color blindness is passed down to the offspring. The mutated gene that causes color blindness, N, is on the X chromosome. Mendelian model of inheritance follows simple genetic basis, like the assumption that one particular trait is controlled by one specific gene, therefore, controlled by only two alleles. However, most traits are actually determined by numerous genes. Mendelian models also follow complete dominance, where a dominant homozygote and a heterozygote organism have the same phenotype. Incomplete dominance is a pattern of inheritance, where none of the alleles is completely dominant over the other. This results in progeny, which has phenotypes that are somewhere in between the two phenotypes of the true breeding parents. Snapdragon's flowers exhibit incomplete dominance. When a true breeding red-flowered snapdragon is crossed with a white-flowered snapdragon, the resulting F1 generation will have pink flowers. The progenies will not resemble any of the parent. When we cross the hybrids, the resulting F2 generation phenotype will have the following distribution. 1/4 red is to 1/2 pink is to 1/4 white. Note that this distribution is the same with the genotype distribution. 1/4 RR is to 1/2 RR is to 1/4 RR. Multiple alleles arise from multiple ways of mutation of the same gene in different individuals. These make a certain gene exist in multiple allelic forms. An example of multiple alleles is the antigens present in human blood, which is the basis in determining blood type. Antigens in blood are controlled by 3 different alleles of a single gene, I. The 3 types of alleles are isoallele A, isoallele B, and isoallele O, or I. These alleles give rise to 4 possible phenotypes, A, B, AB, and O. Here is a summary of the different patterns, as explained through sex-linked genes, incomplete dominance, and multiple alleles. This is the end of the presentation.